Democracy to me means freedom for all men, women, and children. The justice system must work for all and not be blind. Do we live in a democracy? Honestly, I don't think we really do, truly the way that we know and understand democracy. But we need to make that right, and we need to work on that. So hopefully, if we put our concentrated efforts in that, it will take place.
My name is Marissa Go. I'm a major of sociology. I'm a senior here. And I think democracy, it means like that everyone's like included in like there's also organization and stuff.
My name is Lynn Worley. I'm professor of sociology here at Mount Mary University. And to me, democracy is about inclusion and about people having a voice and the ability to participate, not necessarily about agreeing, but that opportunity to discuss, inform, and enlighten. Do we have a democracy? I think that's an excellent question. I think we have a democracy when people invest in participating. To have a democracy, you have to have people participating. I'm not sure that we have a full democracy in our country at this time. Thank you.
Democracy is people working together to create helpfulness. We kind of live in a democracy, but not completely.
Democracy means having a right to my education. Yes, I believe that I live in a democracy.
Democracy is the right to vote.
Yes, we do live in a democracy. What that means to me is that I live in a place where sort of the people have a say in what happens and get to vote and have rights and are able to take part in government and, you know, what happens, what our laws are, and it's not just imposed on them. And so I'm proud and wanting always and desire to live in a place like that. I think that probably there's some work that needs to be done, and I think that there are people that maybe don't have the rights that they need to, and that we're still coming a long way out of history and some oppression that does still exist. But I think that fighting for having a democracy that really does work is really important.
Well, when I think of a democracy, I think of a society that's for the people, and the people have the opportunity to use their human rights and their individual rights to make life work for themselves and for the society at large. Over the centuries, though, we've had many, many struggles with who's included in a democracy and who's not. So we've had to have amendments to the Bill of Rights. We've had to have voting rights ratified, enacted, civil rights ratified, reenacted. And so today, though, we are struggling with voting rights, for example, in terms of what the fourth section of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 is supposed to be. It was expunged from the Supreme Court last year, or maybe the year before, and it really was an important aspect of the Voting Rights Act because we still do experience discrimination. We experience people who are not necessarily given their due in terms of being able to vote. You have very elderly people who may not have a driver's license or even a birth certificate, especially if they're in their 90s or 100 years old and they're trying to vote. Where are they going to go for a birth certificate so that they can have some kind of ID to vote? And so I think our democracy is shifting, and it's shifting because there are a lot of suspicions related to who certain people are, who certain people aren't, who belongs, who doesn't belong, and then judgments and discrimination is occurring. So when I think of democracy, I really want to see it and feel it, that we are welcoming of people, that we want people to have a life and have liberty and be able to really pursue happiness. Thank you.
Democracy, to me, is, in my opinion, pretty much independence. You know, this country, it runs off of democracy supposedly, but I honestly think it's very controlled. So I don't really think the U.S. is the definition of democracy.
Democracy means to me the ability to have like free speech and not exactly do what I want, but like know that there isn't any laws imposing what I can and can't do. I think that we do live in a democracy because we are. If it wasn't for us, the people, like we wouldn't have a president and representatives and stuff like that. So I do think we do live in a democracy.
Democracy is
people voting for what they want, pretty much. The people have the power. Do we live in one? Supposedly. I mean, society says that we live in one, but I don't think we actually live in a democracy where people are allowed and given the power due to a lot of different circumstances and a lot of different loopholes to stop people from being able to vote and have that power to be a part of the democracy that everybody's supposed to have. So, no, we don't live in a democracy.
Democracy is being able to stand up for what you believe in. I would like to think so, yeah.
Democracy is the agreement of everyone, so it's all of the members of the democracy, so therefore it's the citizens in there that vote for everything and they vote on everything, and it's about being equal and everyone has an equal partnership on it. I do not think we live in a democracy. I think we live in an oligarchy or an oligarchy, in that the rich are the ones who make all the decisions, and then the poor people and the middle class are the ones who have to pay the brunt of everything.
Kind of an illusion of a democracy. We think that we live in a democracy, but I don't think that we actually live in a democracy, just because I feel like most of us who are the average citizen, we don't really have a voice and a say in our national government.
I think a democracy is where it involves everyone as a whole, and everyone votes together as one, like the decisions that a government makes within themselves, and that's what a democracy should be. Despite the fact that many of us do vote for presidents and for certain governmental officials, we still don't make the decisions that the decision of this country, because we have representatives, so the people vote, our representatives vote for us, and most of the time they don't vote for what the people voted for.
Is the right for the people to have a choice in their political values and beliefs and how the system works. To an extent, yes, but if I have to give a yes or no, I would say not yet.
I would think it means is just everyone having a say in their opinion through voting, and through voting, whatever majority says, and you just go for it. We don't live in a democracy, because if we did, every time people gave their opinions, change would happen, and it doesn't work out that way. Every time people vote, like for example elections, they'll say everybody voted here that they wanted this president, but when the electoral college comes and it's something different, that wouldn't be a democracy.
A democracy is when everyone is in an equal playing field as far as their voice and their input into how a society works. I feel like we live in a democracy now. People are not treated the same. People are in different playing fields, some higher than and more accessible, and their voice is more heard than others. And so until everyone's voice is heard equally and considered equal, then I don't think we live in a democracy.
Okay, so when I think of democracy, I think of something political. I'm blanking right now on what it really means, but I think just the way people interact and the way rules are, within our world and our society, and how we come together or how we're separate. I think yes, because I feel like there's so many different opinions throughout our society, but yet so many things can be separate, and groups are separated as well.
Well, to me, democracy means one vote for one person. So having the people of a country voting for their representative, to have them vote for them in the seats they want, and then basically having their idea presented to them. Well, I would say no and yes in some ways, because we live in a world where we get, in the United States, I guess we do get to vote for our own ideas, but we don't directly vote for the people that we want. We elect a representative and have them vote for us. And sometimes we're really not sure what a really democracy means to us, so some people are either undermining the idea of democracy or don't understand it really well.
A democracy is a system of government where the people who are governed have the right to influence their government and they have the opportunities to get involved. The average citizen has the opportunities, not just a certain group or the privileged. And a democracy, it is just vital and essential for the citizens to have the power. No, we do not live in a democracy because there are people who are deprived of their rights to influence the government.
Democracy means to me being a part of a greater whole and being able to elect officials and representing you and the greater majority. I don't think we live in as much of a democracy as we should. I think that government has a lot of control, more than a republic necessarily would like to have. Although I think that overall, globally, it seems that we have a better system than a lot of other countries.
Democracy means having the freedom of choice, the freedom of speech, being a citizen, being able to decide as a majority the best decision on issues. I would say yes. Why? Because I do believe it is the majority that is ruling. Not to say who chooses the majority or how they get into office, but I do believe that the majority is choosing on decisions.